morning. What's up, Internet? What's fun about that is nobody's joined the stream yet, so I can just do that to get myself excited, and then as you all pour in, then we can ramp up their excitement. So this is the first few seconds of the stream where we get our tweet actions going and let everybody know, hey, we're doing the thing. It's a Wednesday. Doing some pull requests. Got some guests coming on. It's going to be a lot of fun. So let me let you know that I'm now at Twitch. We are going to probably standardize on Twitch, but for all y'all Periscopers, and if you're on my personal YouTube, I guess, welcome. Let me know in the chat if you are alive. Good morning. I'm happy to see you this Wednesday. And this time, I'm even going to remember to watch the stream so I can make sure that things don't go awry. Yes. Okay. I'm sure I know how to do this too. Twitch. Yeah. There we are. Cool. Well, things are looking good. Boop, boop, ba-doop. All right. Good morning. Who do we have here? Oh, yes. There's a radioactive, and there's a me. Look at that. All right, cool. So, yes, and BugBot. I believe it's BugBot 4. I believe it's BugBot 4. Let me just make sure. I'm going to hope it's BugBot 4. I have a DM from you somewhere. Oh, gosh. Well. What's up, Deadlock? Guten Morgen und wie geht's? We had Michael from Monero Devices on Monday, and then it just kind of like went German, like sideways all of a sudden, which was a lot of fun. So, yes, it is BugBot 4. Sweet. All right. Boop. Tweeted. So now I can add my screen and we can get going as soon as I remove all of this sensitive information from my screen, like the things you're not supposed to see, because there's all sorts of crazy, nefarious, interesting things in development. Move that over there. Yes. Oh, I can't wait to check out that payload too. Here we go. Cool. So, boop, 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 boop. All right, and now we are set. Let's fire up our VMs, set our phases to stun, because here we go. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and introduce our first guest because I'm very excited today. You guys are in for a treat. We've got none other than Blue Cosmo himself from Cosmodium CS. Dude, Cosmo, good to see you.
What's up? Good to see you as well. How you doing?
Oh, I'm excited. I've made a decision. You know those like moments in life where you're like, should I, shouldn't I don't know, and then like one day it just like hits you, you're like, I am certain
Yeah.
And it's like an empowering moment where you're like, haha, I've made a choice. I mean, you make like thousands of choices every day. Like you don't even think about it, right? But the big one's like, I am moving. So this morning I decided I'm moving.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where to?
I don't know yet, but I've decided I'm moving. I feel starting at 6 a.m. every morning in this building, since I've now been here for tomorrow will be an entire month since I've been in Austin, and I've been in this building now for 3 weeks because I like picked up a sublet like while the van has been in the shop, and there's like construction going on above me. It's either that or someone is like lifting like 300 pounds weights and then just dropping them.
Dropping them.
So I'm like, you know what? Yeah.
That sucks.
Nah, it's cool. I mean, you know, I'm very excited because it's a new opportunity. And I heard that the van is gonna get a new transmission. So maybe in the next week or two I'll have that back.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Where are you calling from?
I'm in Maryland. This is my studio room, I guess. That's kind of going on. Got a lot of posters and shit in the back.
Dude, I love it. I love when you change the camera angle in the latest ones. It looks good.
Yeah.
You've got all sorts of like fun little figures and such.
Yeah. Yeah, I have my camera sitting here because I'm actually like on the stream and talking to you guys, but typically it'd be like this way so you can see that side of my room. But
dude, I'm stoked. Here we go. What people need to know is that they need to know that Blue Cosmos from Cosmodium CS. Man, I'm so glad that I stumbled across you. Like, so I wanted, like, would you say you're early in your InfoSec?
moderately, not too early, because like on a professional level, I would say I'm early, like in like, you know, the actual, I guess, corporate, not corporate, but like industrial world or whatever. But like, you know, younger, I've always been like breaking things open, figuring them out, hacking, coding, all that stuff. So I guess it kind of varies from what point of view you're kind of looking at it.
Yeah. Well, I just I base it on you know, having discovered you on YouTube and then just being like, dude, you got talent. Everybody needs to go and follow you on YouTube right now. And I noticed that your channel was kind of new, and then I discovered your website, and I'm like, I love the stuff that you're doing. So I'm stoked to have you on.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, we're gonna get into some payloads here in a bit. Ooh, actually, I've got one up on my screen right now as I fire up the VMs. And what's up, everybody in chat? We got Hazy Wolf, and hey, it's Mubix. I like to Mubix. I like to Mubix. Dude, we just launched this new merch brand thing. I'm wearing the Hak5. I would say black hat, but I think it's gray, and that's appropriate. And I gotta say, Mubix, dude, your hat outsells the Hak5 hat. The Mubix hat is like the second best seller of the entire merch brand, second only to Hak5 stickers, which, I mean, that's a classic.
Yeah.
You sticker up the laptop?
Yeah, I do. I have 2 laptops. The one I'm using has like a bunch of stickers on the back, and my other one has not as many stickers, but still a lot.
Yeah. I've still got the corporate laptop, the like professional one, and then I've got the like stop me at the airport one. Yeah.
That's dope.
Sweet.
Are those hats on the Hak5 shop?
Yeah. We just launched. You know, it's in celebration of our 16-year anniversary. We launched like a little merch thing because people have been asking us for stuff for years, and like it's actually kind of it's weird how it's come full circle, because our whole, we're known now as like a hardware shop because we do the e-commerce thing, but we started as a podcast, and then we put our stickers online for sale after our studio flooded, and we didn't get jack from insurance to fix it, so we had to put it in a lot ourselves, and we were like, all right, guys, we could really use some help. And that led, and so literally stickers led to like, oh, well, we could put the pineapple up there, and oh, that ducky thing, and next thing you know. But I love that in celebration of our 16 years, we've come full circle and could make some really cool stuff. Like, I just got my belt bag, aka fanny pack, and I think it looks so good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm stoked. All those designs by Taz Bedeviled. Yeah, I'm thinking that's what I'm going to do with the backdrop here. I just found a print shop that does up to 60-inch prints by like whatever, like 10 feet if you want. So I'm half tempted to, but then again, now that I've decided I'm moving, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, but I don't think it really matters that much.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like when we started this, we put such an emphasis in the studio. I say it doesn't matter as much. I don't even have my lights on. There we go. Now we're lit. No, I don't think it matters as much anymore, and I kind of love that, because it's the content that stands on its own. Like, as long as you're visible and audible, like, what does it really matter, right?
Right.
I mean, are you shooting in your bedroom? Because I am.
I am too. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see my bed. Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I miss the old, studios sometimes. We had a pretty awesome studio in our warehouse, and in a firehouse before that, and friend's garage before that, and a house before that. So, it's evolved, but it's weird how, I don't know. I kind of want to blame Twitch, as we're here on Twitch, but I kind of blame Twitch in a good way for making it more accessible for anyone to create content, and like just kind of being more real and just being like, yeah, I'm just a dude in my bedroom. Like, let's talk some hacks.
Yeah, for sure.
What kind of hacks you been up to lately?
I started a new cryptography project, because cryptography is one of my more focused like skill sets, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I do have a cryptography course on my website that I did. And then after that, I decided, like, actually this was like November of 2020. I came up with this concept for a like Python cryptography suite. So it's going to be like one central Python like script, almost like Metasploit, but like focused towards cryptography. And that's what I guess I was going to start building back in November 3rd of 2020. And then I never touched it until now. So I was like, you know what, let me actually try to commit to the project a little bit. So I streamed the other day, me starting the project officially. And again, I haven't touched it since then.
Nice.
So we're going to try to make that more consistent.
Do you find that you can actually get like real work done while you stream?
Yeah, because I don't check chat all that much. I'll check it like periodically. Like if I finish like a section, then I'll like check it, or I'll just have like some sort of Q&A at the end, so they can just ask all the questions there.
Yeah, see, I'm still getting used to that. I so come from like, it's weird to even say the word old school YouTube. Wow, never thought I would say that. But like, I do kind of feel like I'm coming from like an old school YouTube vibe, where for me, like, lights are on, like, in fact, not even both of them are on. There we go. There. Hey, lights are on and I'm on, right? And so, if the camera's going, I feel like I have to be like on. And I started doing this just a few weeks ago because I've always wanted to kind of interact with the community while getting some work done. And I do that to a certain extent. I'll lurk in Discord and stuff. But I find that when I'm doing this, like, it's fun, don't get me wrong, but I find that I can't actually like work. So I get that done like beforehand. Like I just finished up some new promotion stuff, and then I think that this is a really great medium for like trying stuff out. Like we're going to be looking at a pretty sweet payload here from BugBot in a little bit. And actually last week in fact, it's on my screen now. Let me add my screen. Yes, share. So here in this Windows VM, looking at, this was a little payload action from, actually it's from Gentle Kiwi. Are you familiar with Memhats?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is great stuff. And so was looking at this payload, and I find that this is exactly the kind of stuff where it really lends itself to like harnessing the creativity and the collaborative nature of the community on a stream. Yeah, but not so much when I'm trying to get work done. And also a lot of that is like I want to show stuff off, but I'm like, dang it, it's not even out yet. Like I want to show this off, but I can't show you this because it's not out yet. But I'm probably going to do it anyway. Actually, I've just decided I don't care anymore. I'm just gonna. I'm gonna start getting. Messages from the dev team, and they're gonna be like, Darren, stop. And I'm just like, come on, guys, don't care. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So Mubix is in chat, and he was just saying that he saw an author actually using Twitch to help her edit her book. And
oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, so I feel like, for a lot of what we do, it could really benefit from that. So, creative juices start flowing. We were last week talking about this payload that BugBot had written for this privilege escalation technique using ATs within Windows. And it was pretty cool because I was able to lend some expertise on the Bash Bunny side where he was using the file system as a way to let for the Windows box to let the Bash Bunny know that it had completed a stage of the payload, and I was able to lend expertise on that front, knowing that like, hey, the file system isn't actually asynchronous when it's USB mass storage, like it can only be held by one host at a time, and he's clearly, or he or she is clearly we'll find out here soon. Actually, we're going to have BugBot on. But, very well versed, obviously, in Windows. And I feel like that's where this gets really exciting.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Now, I love that Gentle Kiwi threw up this net use command that literally anyone can just over the internet. Like this should not be possible. Actually, if you're in the right kind of place, your firewall should catch that. There's no way that's going to work, and hopefully you've patched. So let's see here because I just got the tweets from BugBot. Looking forward to it. So this cryptography thing that you kicked off in Python, can you give me an example of like what you're doing with crypto?
Yeah, so it's going to be mainly focused towards like CTFs and type of thing because you're not going to see like Caesar Cipher Visionaire in the real world. So it's going to be like the suite where you can kind of encrypt, decrypt, or brute force certain ciphers. And there is going to be like a lot of ciphers, but once I have a certain amount out, I'll kind of make that like the v.1 version 0.1. And with all of that, I also want to incorporate not just like one-liners, but also have like a CLI, like command line interface. So that way people who aren't super familiar with that can also just use it and interact with the shell like at hand. So it should be pretty cool, but I had to figure out some bugs and stuff. Question for cosmetics, yes. What do you feel? Sorry. Hardest thing to teach for cryptography? The math, probably. There's a lot of mathematics involved when it get to like more complex ciphers, especially with like asymmetric encryption. That entire, I guess, topic gets very complicated very quickly. So you had to kind of have like a fundamental understanding of certain topics before you jump into like that core of like AES and like DEFI-HUM and all this other complex stuff. But yeah, good question.
Is that your background? Do you have a mathematics background
it's
or
more
a
of
computer science background?
My background, no, it's not. Cryptography is more of a like almost like if you're minoring in something, I guess that would be like cryptography. But I kind of just play around a lot. I love, web hacking. I love cryptography, playing with the Hak5 tools, malware development, obviously. And yeah, just kind of playing around with those topics. But
oh, there we go. That's a good recommendation. Let's check this out. Feather duster. You know what? I'm just going to use my VM for everything today. There we go. Come on. I say that. Come on, VM. Let's get big. No. There we go. Haha. It's tool. Let's see. For breaking crypto. Okay. I'm actually not familiar with the in-joke. I'm curious how this thing works. So it's a crypto breaking tool in Python. Looks pretty straightforward. Neat.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, for sure. Oh. So I'll have serial on this guy. No, is he not plugged in? Or is he not on? There we go. Let's see if I can bring this to life. There we go. Good old CP2101. This is what I've been working on lately. Actually, Mark has been working on. I'm excited to get this guy going. Little Sharkjack love. Have you played with the Sharkjack yet?
I have been wanting to for so long, and I just got back from my vacation. So some guy in my Discord server asked for like Wi-Fi pineapple stuff, so I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna finally touch the Sharkjack because I really looking forward to that. This is just such a cool and unique tool.
I'm stoked about it. This is the this is a Sharkjack prototype in the works, and I think what's pretty cool about it is over a serial console, we've got the ability to update payloads from the GitHub repository. Oh, don't have any yet. Hang on. Run update _ payloads. Got to have an internet connection. Am I not connected today? Oh, well, that would do it. Hang on. Net mode, DHCP client. now, nope. Well, never mind. I thought we were going to do a little demo of that, but maybe I shouldn't anyway. It's still kind of in the works. But yeah, I'm excited for that. Hey, you know what? I'm also excited to hack this Windows VM here because it needs to get taken down. It needs to get taken down with an AT. I wasn't even sure what an AT was until the other day when we started playing with some payloads, and I ran across this awesome payload from none other than our very own Bugbot within the Hak5 community. Bugbot, dude, it's good to see you, man.
Hey guys, nice to see you. How are you doing?
Yeah. Oh, dude.
So
It's awesome. I'm glad it's perfect happenstance that you were like tuned into the stream last week. I was doing some pull requests and came across this awesome payload to do a novel technique for privilege escalation. And there you were in the chat. Oh my gosh, how great is it when you're like working on something and then the author is like right there and you're like, wait, what? You kidding me? So I'm so stoked that you could come on. And I'm excited to test out the payload and take it to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. So last week when you tested it, it didn't work. And I figured out why. It turns out that if an AT isn't registered before the system has booted, it won't recognize it, even though the registry search for it just works. For somehow it won't launch. So the new version, I just made a pull request. The new version fixes all that. So let's test something.
Cool. Okay. Well, you want to talk me through before we get into this PR?
Mm-hmm.
It looks great, but you want to talk me through what is an AT?
Yeah. So an AT is assistive technology for Windows. So think of the on-screen keyboard, the magnifying glass, all that stuff that's supposed to help people with disabilities. Also, of course, needs to work in privileged parts of Windows. So the logon screen, the control-delete screen, the UAC windows. And in order for that to work, it needs elevated privileges. You can't edit existing AT registry entries, but you're probably familiar with the trick of replacing osk.exe with cmd, and that way you can get a shell on the login prompt.
Oh yeah, no, that's a classic. That's the old trick of what is it? I'm going to reboot your computer and then boot off of like mass storage, like a live Linux distro, and then replace an executable on your disk. I forget LSASS. Is that what it is? No, it's what was the executable again?
osk.exe is for the on-screen keyboard, but I'm not sure what the one for the shift key was anymore.
Yeah. But it's the one where you would hit Windows key, what is it, U?
Mm-hmm.
And then it would just run, it blindly runs the executable, thinking like, oh, that's the thing. And I love the simplicity of that because Windows is obviously hard-coded to be like, oh yes, run this exe because it's the assistive technology. And it runs in Utiliman, thank you. And so you're saying that these assistive technologies need to be able to run in privileged modes in Windows. What's the exact terminology that you were using there?
So the screens, the UAC screens, the control-delete screens, and the Windows logon screen are called secure desktops. And the only way that something can run on that is if it's running as anti-authority system. So that's why Windows runs it that way, just assuming everything is fine, even if it's a user registered AT.
Right. So when I hit, when I go to run anything, and I hit, Control Shift Enter, and I get this dialogue like, "Yo, dog, you wanna run this as admin or whatever?" The UAC. So this is a privileged thing, and only a system user privilege would have the ability to read the screen and interact with it in that way.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a separate desktop, even though it looks like it's just an overlay on the existing one. It's actually an entire new desktop, and only system processes can see and access that and do anything with it.
That's pretty cool.
That's dope. That's dope.
All right. So, and you can just register a new one because there's obviously, you said there's the, Robert Cook has pointed out Utilman, there's the on-screen keyboard, there's the magnifier, there's, what is it, text-to-speech. And so you just create a new one.
Yeah, it's that simple, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just I'm wondering the legitimate use case. I mean, I'm sure there's legitimate use cases, obviously, or else it wouldn't have that functionality. But I'm just wondering, like, I wonder what what some of the products are, or some of the things are that would actually take advantage of this.
Maybe in combination with external hardware, like people who are very visually impaired. Maybe the visual impaired stuff that's already there isn't enough. So maybe that's the only thing I can think of, really. But yeah.
How did you come across this as an attack vector?
So there's a blog post by on a blog called Hexacorn that goes over the basics of ATs and how they can be used as a privilege escalation and persistency vector.
Oh, nice. Yeah, if you happen to have that link, I would love to pop that in the chat. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because it seems so naive the way Windows is, in the same way that just swapping out the exe for Utilman is kind of naive. It's very trusting of it. And also, thank you, Mubix.
Yeah, that's the one.
That does look pretty good. Cool. Well, let's put this technique to use on the Bash Bunny. So let's take a look over here at the pull request for the updated AT&T. So what's changed since we last looked at this? Oh, well, obviously, that line has changed, and this whole section of the entire payload has changed. Yeah.
So initially, there were quite a few stages on the Bash Bunny itself, which was nice because it looked pretty in the documentation, but that's not really realistic if you have to do a reboot or log the user off and wait for them to log in again, right? So instead, I moved everything to the second stage. It writes everything to the registry, and then when it gets ran again with more privileges, then it will take all that information and put it in the right places.
All right. Well, we just put it up, so because I trust it's going to be epic, and I'm stoked to try it out. So it's using less stages. So the actual payload TXT, first thing we do. So the force log off. Is that the way that you're getting it to reset?
Yeah. So with PowerShell, it's on line 42. You can send a force log off command. It's the same as going to window key, pressing log off, and then pressing yes, I'm sure. It's just that, but in PowerShell. But the only issue with it,
GUI X. Oh, I don't know if that's going to translate in the VM. And actually, it's not. It's not on by or it's not always on the GUI X where you get this little menu here. Not that one. Having a real keyboard on this rather than a VM would have been helpful. But yeah, okay. So the PowerShell does the same thing. Because I do believe there's actually a keyboard shortcut for, well, there's Windows key L, but that's just log off, or sorry, that's lock, not log off.
Sorry, I just noticed that I had Discord notifications coming for the stream.
Yeah, no worries. Cool. All right. So line 42 is going to go ahead and force the log off.
Mhm.
And so the first thing we do is generate the stage file. All right, cool. So we remove the udisk done file. We set ourselves up checking the switch position. We're going over to the switch position. And then if run immediately is true, then we're going to change the run immediately text to what is $P?
So in the second stage,
Mhm.
$P is a variable that contains the final payload. So the
Mm.
first time that the payload is run with NT-authority writes, it will move the final payload to the security hive because only system processes can see that hive. And that way, hopefully, if somebody tries to figure out what's going on, they won't be able to see the final stage. However, of course, you can also just directly run it, and that's what IEX invoke expression is for.
Mm. Okay. Nice. And then I love that you just like alter the file on the fly here for the final stage, and then save it as quite simply the number 2 because save characters for sure. I also love that this is like a one-liner.
Yeah, I wanted to really add a variable for the label bash bunny, but I don't know if that's something that you can get in from the bash bunny itself directly.
So in the framework, we don't expose we expose a lot of ways to get meaningful things like the target IP address and the host IP and the target username or a host name. But by default, the label for the actual udisk is bash bunny. You can change that quite easily, just the way you would any other flash drive. But for uniformity amongst all the users, we just go with bash bunny, just trying to make it simple. Now, obviously, if you're KRAD Ultra Reet, then you'll probably want to shorten this and make it not as like, I don't know, obvious. And I don't know, maybe rename that to just quite simply like USB, right? It would at that point seem kind of innocuous and not have, and would save a few characters. Yeah. And then the same thing holds true with, if you're using a Bash Bunny Mark II, where you've got the micro SD card, it's going to accept whatever the label that you've made for the file system the micro SD card is. So you'll either A, want it to be named Bash Bunny if you're running a payload that's expecting that label, or B, like I said, like change it to, I would a lot of times just make the label the letter B, just trying to eke out as few characters as possible,
Yeah. Yeah, because the way that I hoped it would work was that you were able to retrieve that label the same way that you would get the switch position, for example, and then just put that in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely love the portability factor that it's pulling it from the switch position. So it doesn't matter if you put in 1 or 2. And then Control Shift Enter UAC, and I was gonna say I had gotten used to just doing Alt Y to bypass UAC, and then I realized like that's not gonna work in Germany. That's not gonna work in France. It's not gonna work in a lot of places. So that was a very American thinking of me. But who would have thought? Left arrow and enter, and actually you could remove line 62 completely.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it definitely looks good. So, but you're still looking for until done.
Yeah.
And are we doing attack mode? Where's our attack mode? Usually at the top. Where do we even get to our attack mode? Hid storage. Okay. So you tested this and you were able to see the done file?
Yeah. The reason you can see it is because in the second stage, after that file is written, it ejects the flash drive, and that also syncs the file system, and then the bash bunny can see it.
Nice. Yeah. It's just that they're not asynchronous. I wish that it were, but at that point you could plug in like, a flash drive with like a USB split cable into two machines and both have access to it simultaneously to share files? No. I mean, in a perfect world, but no.
Yeah.
Cool. And then obviously cleaning up the payload. I like that it cleans up after itself, so it just gets rid of the temporary copy of the payload, simply labeled 2, and the done file syncs and finish. So, all right, let's take a look now at the actual PowerShell that it's going to run. Which would be our stage2.ps1. Oh, even the PowerShell itself cleans up after itself, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Oh, this is the $P. So this is the actual payload.
No, this is another $P. The payload $P is in a variable a bit further down.
Okay. But this one where it cleans up from itself, so it gets rid of whatever's in the run line. So if I hit GUI R right now, come on, oops, sorry, wrong window. If I hit GUI R right now, you'll see, a list of like all of the things that I've run recently. Yeah. And including netsend star hello, which I really wish worked still. And so that's always nice. And then what is this $M MRU list? I'm not familiar with MRU list.
So MRU list is the list of run entries. Run entries are given a letter, so A, B, C, D, E, F, and so on and so on. And MRU list contains those letters in which order to display them in the run menu. So what we do here is we get that list and we grab the latest entry of that, which is what just got typed.
Oh my gosh!
Remove that both from the list itself and from run MRU itself, because there is also a key for each one of those.
So instead of clearing the entire run list, we only remove the latest entry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so in a lot of payloads, I did not know this technique. This is awesome. In a lot of payloads, I've just quite simply run a command to just literally blow out everything, which, hides the last thing that was run, but it also kind of is a dead giveaway when you had things in there previously. Now, again, it really depends on your target. I mean, I would say that the vast majority of users don't even use the run line. It used to be like the first thing in start. And now, well, it's not even called start anymore. And I don't know where you would find it by clicking around, right? But very cool. No, what? Sorry, getting a little sidetracked here because Mubix says that netsend has moved to MSG and that you can still MSG star hello world. Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. That warms my heart. I'm learning so much on this stream. And then that little bit of PowerShell would get rid of that. Just the latest entry.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I just want to run that in a while loop. All right, well, all right, and then the next stage is to actually create our AT.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's whatever the current version is in our AT. So let's take a look here what's currently in Regedit. I love that it knows that it needs to run. I didn't even hit Control-Shift-M. And so where is it in current user? Let's see, our current HKLM. All right. Not current user. Local machine, software, Microsoft, Windows. I'm making assumptions here. Where is it? Yep. Oh, Windows NT current version accessibility. Windows never tested. Current version accessibility. ATs. All right. So these are all of the ATs on our system. That's actually a lot more than I expected there to be. Wow.
Did you already run the payload on this machine?
Have I already? Yes, I have actually.
Okay.
Because AT&T is here. Let's delete it. What do you say? All right. So animations is an AT. You know, just looking at this list, like some of these make a lot of sense, like high contrast. Okay, you know, filter keys and the narrator. Sure, you know, these all make sense as accessibility things. But some of these animations and color scheme, oh, well, maybe color scheme, but keyboard preferences, you know, I get the feeling that maybe even lazy Windows developers abuse this in the same way that we are when they need NT privileges or sorry, system privileges. Also, I believe Icedondon is that GUI X and then I log out? Because I think that's what that is. Because I use that on my physical box. I use GUI X and then U, and then I forget what it is, but for shut down. So would love to hear that. Although I have found that GUI X is not always enabled on a system. So all right, so we create a new, so all we have to do to create a new AT then is to, what, is to just create a new couple D-word values in our registry right there, and then we call it NT because obfuscation.
Well, because, you know, we're getting system NT, so it's a fitting name.
Cool.
But yeah, that's all you have to do. But you do have to be admin, of course, because it's a local machine and not current user.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then once that's done, then this is what's actually run? Let's see, the value of this is ran when the NT is launched. Okay, so whenever this NT gets launched, then first thing we do is check who am I, and if it's not equal to NT authority system, then we GTFO. Otherwise what?
We execute the next stage.
We execute 1.
Yeah, and that's the next part.
All right, so 1 is this part right down here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there we go. So we create a new value called 1. And what does it do? Well, let's see. $A is just where it lives, and $P is...
That's the payload.
This is the actual payload.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, $P is the actual payload, and then the final stage is on line 38.
All right, and then the final stage is a new item property, path to, and then value at, and then, oh, and I see, you just put whatever you want right there.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Does this get, does the payload replace exclamation final stage exclamation?
Yeah, set replaces that, as well as the comments that you see RI and LI, I think it was.
See it now. Okay, so early in the payload, we do a sed for if run immediately is set. No, we replace final stage with, oh, I see, with whatever's in our final stage .ps1. I love the modularity of it. So you never need to actually change anything in the payload .txt other than these 3 lines here. And the defaults are to force the user log off. What is lock on user?
So after the user has been logged off and they eventually come back to their machine and try to log in again, the AT will launch, but it will only launch with user permissions. Now, if you want to speed things up a bit, you can instantly lock the desktop again, and that will then force the AT to launch with system rights because, hey, it's on the login screen, and, you know.
Oh, nice. So when I get it. So when the user relogs in, so fourth log off equals true, and then they get logged out, they have to log back in. The AT runs, but the AT is running with user privs. And then to get the AT to then run with system privs, all we have to do is get the UAC screen, or, well, in this case, what did you say, secure desktop to pop up. And the easiest way to do that is to lock the user.
Yeah. And
so are you just doing GUIL, or is there like something special?
We call DOL32 exe with some parameters that lock the user. But it's basically the same, yeah.
Got it. And then run immediately is true is kind of, that just means on this boot, right?
So that means that when it does start with NT authority rights, the first time it will immediately run the final payload as well as hide it in the security registry, instead of only hiding it there and then waiting for another secure desktop to launch it.
Nice. Nice. All right. So then let's take a look at our final stage. What kind of nefarious stuff are we doing here? Oh my gosh, I can't believe you would even suggest such a thing. IWR to example.com? How dare you?
The audacity.
Yeah. Well, on the previous stream, you mentioned how WMI, it's nice, an easy way to exfiltrate some information.
Yeah.
However, when it's running as system, it's not going to give the computer name. So that's why I changed it around a bit.
Yeah, I actually, I borrowed that for an upcoming payload that we're going to be doing on the USB rubber ducky and the bash bunny. And because it's a novel way to get that information. The other ways that have gotten the logged on information and the host name is quite simply with SMB. A simple GUIR payload that jams in / host name enter, and it's always a pretty good way. But man, getting it over a browser, that's even better, especially when coupled with a listener web page that throws a little JavaScript that literally closes the browser. So I think I'm going to now couple that with the bit of PowerShell that you just showed us that gets rid of the last run line as well, for a slightly longer version, but a version that that cleans up after itself, which is pretty cool.
That's a dope payload, man.
Yeah, I'm stoked for this. I want to get this on my bash bunny. Let's go ahead and do it. What say you? All right.
And Bugbot, where are you from? I like your accent.
I'm from the Netherlands.
Oh, dope.
So is Alt Y not yes?
I'm not sure, actually. I've never tried.
Okay. All right. Well, I've always enjoyed my time in the Netherlands, although I've only been to Amsterdam and Den Haag. Okay. Bash bunny. And now let's grab this payload. All right.
And Bugbot, is there any like significance behind your name, Bugbot, or is it just a cool?
No, it's the original name that I had when I started doing bug bounty hunting.
Okay.
But yeah, I go by quite a few usernames. So 903 is my GitHub username. Knight is my name on Discord. So it's just random.
Okay, that's cool.
What about you, Blue Cosmo?
Yeah, Blue Cosmo, the name came from a friend on Discord, because always reaching for the stars, I guess. But
Nice.
That's what he said at least. But
Cool.
yeah, and that kind of inspired the name for Cosmodium.
Like it. It's always best when when a handle is given to you. Actually,
Yeah.
my mom gave me my handle, Darren.
Instead of Gary.
Instead of Gary, exactly. Yep. Yeah. No, I have such a bad hacker handle that actually it was like my gamer handle, and then very, very early in Hak5, I decided I'm not using that. I'm gonna use my real name. It's so bad. I think I might still use it. It's somewhere. It's buried. All right. So did we safely eject? I believe we did. Yep. All right. Cool. So the fun with this is always that I now have to transfer over control or the VM. Anyway, insert complaining about VMs here, but otherwise, let's take a look. There we go. There's got to be quick on the draw to connect it to the VM. Right.
Oh,
Oh,
I don't know if that worked. I think it didn't send the left arrow or the enter fast enough.
interesting. Wait, let's take a look at the registry. Well, no, hang on. It's gone. I think the run dialog just stayed up, which is a weird phenomenon because the last thing in here is regedit, not the command that was going to create that AT, although I don't see it in here. Let me refresh. Nope, not in there. Okay.
Well, if it never...
Well, easy way to find out, because it creates a file called 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and created the 2 file. And it's got the right stuff. So I didn't see it happened so fast. I barely saw it. I wonder, well, no, the flash drive was clearly mounted because we've got 2. Huh. Although that happens on the perspective of the bunny, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Yeah. Okay. Well,
maybe it's just the stream, but I didn't see it like move the arrow left and then press enter.
Okay.
So maybe that's why it ran it, but it didn't run it with enough privileges.
Let me also make sure that my ducky lang is set to US. Okay. Well, let's give it another shot. Cool. Could be something with the VM, but we'll see. All right. Left end. Yeah, I saw it. Oh, there we go. What was that?
So I think that was the TXT that was open, that little pop-up.
Oh, oops.
Are you sure you want to log off? You want to save?
But the PowerShell that logged me out was like, yeah, we're not going to wait for anything. We're logging out now.
No.
Nice. Okay, so let me type in my super secure password. It's the one right next to enter because it's really easy. Oh, and then I go to log in and I'm like, wait a second. I wanted to log in. Come on. Windows, take my super secure password apostrophe. Oh, what was that?
Oh no, it was a flash. That's not good. I mean, well, it ran, but there was something.
It ran with a flash. But at the same time, I mean, come on, how many that's, hell, you install drivers from Realtek for your sound card and you get that,
Yeah, that's true.
It's Windows. It's a flaming pile of 1990 still still going.
Still kicking.
And there's our done. All right.
Dope.
Nice. It did it. So did we? Oh, but I don't have a listener, so I don't know that we hit example. I'm gonna change the payload. Let's do it again because I love the portability-ness of it changing up. So our final stage. Oh yeah, we're gonna go right into ISC to change this one line.
So if you don't want to set up a listener, the first line just spawns a shell on the system.
Say again?
The first line just spawns a shell on the system if you don't want to change it around every time. Or like a listener.
Oh, like if we comment this out?
Mm-hmm. And then uncomment the first line.
Oh, I see what you're saying. This right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then there we go. Does that do the trick? What was the what was all of that about? The greater than less thans around it.
That's for inline comments. So because it gets written to another file, I wasn't sure if that was going to work or not. So I just rather be safe than sorry and make it inline comment.
Got it. Okay. I don't think I've ever done that in PowerShell, but I will follow your lead. Oops. Save that. Cool. Yep. I say save that, and I'm not positive. Yes, it did. All right, cool. Eject. Well, let's do it again. That's that pop-up that you're seeing is OS is Mac OS being like, that keyboard's not made by Apple, and so the way that you suppress that is by sending a vendor ID and a product ID that is Apple, and then it doesn't complain. So yeah, in your attack mode, you do vid underscore and pid underscore, and I can't remember the exact hex values now. All right, so now we got the lock screen after our login, and boop, there we go.
Yes,
it
works.
Who am I?
Ooh.
Hooray!
There
Dude,
you
that's
go.
awesome. What an awesome payload.
Thank you.
I'm stoked. I can't believe that works. Yeah, that's. I mean, I think it's like a perfect example payload too of like how to do it right. You know, because it cleans up after itself. Like too many good payloads will work once, but then just trash a system or trash the bunny, and then like you've got to reset up a lot of stuff. So it's clear that you put some thought into like making it not just robust in that sense, but also even portable in the sense that everything is just like a separate file. So your final stage, like there you go. So if you want to run this payload and you don't want to get into any of the nitty gritty, all you have to do is edit the final stage PS1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's only you have to be careful if there's variables in the final stage. Because
why is that?
Well, because they're written to a variable in the second stage.
Mm-hmm.
Variables have to be escaped with the little tag. But other than that, it's fine.
I see what you're saying. Well, could you not just escape around that?
Yeah, but you have to do that manually. I mean, I could edit the sed command to also do that, but
oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. Also, Sir Corbin, who I can't imagine who that might be, is pointing out that the vendor ID and the product ID I was just mentioning for the Apple, I think it's the Apple aluminum keyboard, whatever it is 05AC 021E. I believe he dreams in hex these days. All right, come on. Did I not click Windows? We're going to do it again. Was that your first payload for the Bash Bunny?
No, it wasn't. I made another one for the Hive Nightmare, or no, the Serious Sam vulnerability.
Oh, yes, that's right. I need to review that actually.
But it's honestly, it could do better on the documentation. So.
You sure?
I mean, yeah.
Oh, hang on. We've got a couple in here for Serious Sam. There's 3 different. Which one is it?
The one by.
Oh, the one by 903. I'm curious about this one now. A small PowerShell payload that exfiltrates SAM system security hives using CV 2021 36934 removes adding the RMU entry and comes with automatic payload completion detection. Yeah,
which is the exact same.
The exact same one. It's the same technique.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, maybe setup, hid storage, get the switch position, make a directory for the loot. The attack is quite simply to run the PowerShell off of the Bash Bunny, which you've named P in this case.
Mm-hmm.
And so does it come with its own P? Hang on.
Yeah.
And then until done, it sleeps. And then once we're done, we delete it and finish it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And then P, which I'm assuming is this. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. I think there's something beautiful about the simplicity of this. Yeah. Why not? Oh, and then there's where you do the eject the drive, right?
Yeah, and that syncs the file system, and then the Bash Bunny can see the done file.
Nice. You know what? Hey, that totally works. Because if at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is tell the Bash Bunny it's done,
mm-hmm.
and in doing so, there's nothing more that you need from the US mass storage, then yeah, it's an elegant way to actually just go ahead and eject. Less risk of then even corrupting your file system if, essentially when you're done, you're going to pull the drive anyway, so you might as well. And since you're, because we were talking about this the other week, like, all right, there are a number of other ways that you can have asynchronous communication between the Bash Bunny and the target. You could have a listener of some sort over IP, but now you've got to enumerate as, RNDIS Ethernet. And so, yeah, I mean, that works since you're using mass storage to get the PowerShell anyway. I think that I would love to see, actually, what kind of needs, sorry, I'm just thinking out loud here, but one of the things that that occurs to me with payloads like this, because it's a perfect example of like, a really robust attack. But at some point, if what you're doing is just changing out the PowerShell that you're eventually running, as more systems will lock mass storage or harden, or organizations will harden things like PowerShell running from mass storage, then you'll have to like change the technique to get the PowerShell onto the machine, which, since you can just enumerate as network device, pretty easy using so hang on, actually forget the network device altogether. Just write the PowerShell into the machine. Sure, takes a while, but so that's one technique. The other technique would be obtain the payload over the network, meaning show up as RNDIS Ethernet, and then using IEX or something in PowerShell, pull the file off that way, and then execute it. And then obviously the mass storage one, which is just like super simple. But I see a future where that's going to be a little more difficult, at least the PowerShell off mass storage element. So think what's kind of in order, and I'm not sure if where this needs to be done, but I don't think it should be done on a payload by payload basis, because it's just like a lot of boilerplate, but essentially like a payload, like a framework where if a good, like, I don't want to say a good majority, but a lot of good payloads are like, hey, here's some PowerShell, want to run this. And so the modularity then would be to say like, okay, cool, which technique? And then have that framework kind of boilerplate in a more generic payload. That's like, all right, here are the techniques to do that.
That would be pretty awesome, yeah. And as long as mass storage itself isn't locked, these payloads would work anyway because they're not executing a file or a PowerShell file from mass storage. They're only getting the content and then evaluating that.
Oh, you're right. You're right. That's true. It is just getting the content that it's then putting into the registry. So it's actually the registry that's running the PowerShell. And if Windows can't trust its registry, then, well,
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I want to throw in that vid and PID and see if it's happy with it just here on my Mac. Not like it would actually matter but it just as an example to demonstrate. Because I think that it's kind of like a good tip for people to know that you can add vid and PID data to your attack mode right there just by doing 0x05AC 0x02 021E, and I believe that's it. Now, when this runs, at least through my Mac onto a VM onto my Windows box, so this isn't really applicable to your Windows box one, but I should not get that pop-up saying, hey, that's not an Apple keyboard. It may also break everything for the Windows box because the Windows box might be like, that's not a vid and PID for mass storage. So we'll see if I just broke everything. All right, yep, connect to Windows. Yeah, didn't get it. No, nice. But we do get the setting up a new device because it's never seen that device before. And it says setting up RNDIS/Ethernet gadget. That's the product name. And so that can actually also be specified using prod underscore. So you can have it say like dirty things or clean things. It's up to you. I saw a payload recently that kind of iterated through some. Well, you could do a Rickroll with it. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
Or you could get HR call. It's up to you.
You can make the incident response team very happy.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Well, you've definitely made it a little harder for the incident response team in, removing it from the run. I wonder if it saves anywhere else. Have you ever looked into that?
I haven't been able to find it, and I did do a registry search for like the Bash Bunny keyword, and it didn't come up anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean it's nowhere else, of course.
Yeah. Nice. Well, dude, awesome payload. I'm stoked for this, and the Serious Sam one too. Now that I've glanced over this one and made sure that it doesn't RMRF your hard drive, which, I mean, I gotta say, like that's like, don't expect, we've got like so many great pull requests. Don't expect, how do I say this? You get where I'm trying to go with this. And it's not an invitation to troll. It's a small tight-knit community. So this is not an invitation, but this is more of a warning, like, hey, this is running as root on your device. So we glance over these and make sure like that you didn't submit a payload that like, bricks bunnies and, or, also like, does something nefarious to your target. Like, no, we're not accepting your
random exe
del tree : payload. Like, nah. I'll accept a tree payload. That's my favorite payload.
Tree is the ultimate hacking command.
Yeah. Best payload ever.
Oh yeah.
If you ever need to look like you're working, folks, tree. Oh, what happened to tree? Oh, there we go. I still love that it's an old .com. Yep. Hooray. Cool. Awesome technique. Well, what's next for you, Bugbot? What are you working on otherwise?
I am very much looking forward to make payloads for the pineapple, but I'll have to see exactly what and when.
Gotcha.
Still up in there.
Yeah. Oh, we just released a major new firmware update for the Wi-Fi Pineapple 1.1.0. Very excited for, because the evil twin attack that's in it is so ungodly good that like we didn't even like really. I think we're going to need to expose this through a campaign, because the intended use case is, hey, I want to crack this. The two major intended use cases are either A, I want to crack the password for this network, so I want to get a handshake for it, and I only need a partial handshake, right? So I'll go ahead and do a evil twin attack, give it a bogus, passphrase of pineapples are yummy. And when somebody tries to authenticate with it, I've now got a partial handshake and I can go start using tools to crack that. Fantastic. The other one being, oh, hey, I now have the password to that WPA protected network. So now I want to man in the middle it, and I want to like watch all the network traffic in between and manipulate it and whatever have you. So I'll plug in the actual password and I'll clone the SSID and the BSSID. And now I'll entice targets. And maybe, if DDoSing is part of your scope of engagement, I'll do some of that as well. And now they connect to the pineapple and bop your uncle. But the unintended, like in researching this thing that we noticed was, if you combine it with literally the PineAP pool and the simple checkbox for allow associations, doing a karma-like attack. So where you're collecting the SSIDs now of everything that everybody wants in the vicinity, and you're rebroadcasting out beacons that say you're those SSIDs, but you're now a WPA protected network. They just love that, and they will give you keys galore. So you end up just getting, handshakes left and right.
Wow.
Yeah. So I know that open networks, like security over the years has gotten a little bit better, where endpoint devices are a little bit more hesitant about those. But it feels like then the trust was just implicitly put in, like, yeah, but if it's WPA, then it's great. So go ahead and try,
Oh, there's security. This must be the right thing, right?
Yeah. Actually, I really love the idea of, have you guys played with WPA3 any?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so one of the cool things about WPA3 is that there's a mode for open networks where it will it'll generate new keys and do endpoint security or do end-to-end encryption on that particular stream between those two devices, right? And so it'll be unique for every two devices on that same network. So while yes, it's an open network with no password, everybody that joins it isn't as susceptible to, like, when you'd sit in the coffee shop with DSNF running, it's not like everything is out in the open, which is really cool from a privacy perspective, right? So it's great for users. Unfortunately, the one that the vendors implement it is that they're like, oh, yay, we're connected to an open network, which in the days prior to WPA3 would be like, oh, no, that's bad. Hey, by the way, everybody can see your bits, right? But no, it's WPA3. Nobody can see your bits. So we want to let you know that, like, hey, you're on a secure connection. So you get the little lock icon, you get the little like privacy armor badge thing. And so from the end user's perspective, they're like, yay, happy, I'm secure here. And now if you are man in the middling with that, you've lulled them into a false sense of security.
Oh, yeah.
Damn, that is cool.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, good stuff. Any questions in chat? You got quite the fair amount of folks in here. Anybody here curious? Did it freeze? I think I might have frozen it too. There we go. I should really get a new Hak5 wallpaper. I think I've been using that same wallpaper for like 10 years. It's the older version, the more destructed version of the logo too. I should put out the assets, do a little Hak5 wall competition. So Miss Skelly wants to know, Bugbot, your thought process while developing it.
So initially, when I saw the blog post, I was like, "Oh wow, there's definitely something here. You know, like this can really be expanded upon." So I started messing around with it, and eventually I got the payload to work. I've already done previous stuff with Registry and PowerShell, so that wasn't all that new for me. But eventually I got it to work, and I never walked into the problem that we saw on last week's stream where it just didn't work because I manually already messed with it, so it was already registered, right? But eventually I got it to work very basically, but it wasn't quite it, you know? It didn't give that feeling like, oh, this is done. This is a product now, or this is whatever. And a big thing was the window flashes, because every single time there would be a UAC pop-up, it would take away the focus from that UAC pop-up. So you couldn't use the arrow keys anymore. You had to manually get it back in focus, or the logging in, or the control delete screen. It wasn't quite there yet. And from there on, it was kind of a rabbit hole trying to figure out, oh, how can I hide this? Oh, how can I prevent focus from being lost? How can I, all that stuff. And yeah, it just really captivated me, I guess.
I love one of the things that I love about it is that you're not like opening a terminal, and typing directly into there. Like everything you're doing is in the run line, or or focus is changing because there's a secure desktop coming up, which is something that you're specifically trying to invoke. And so there are very few places where the payload can fail. The things that can go awry the most in a lot of these payloads is that it's kind of dumb in that it doesn't know what's on the screen, right? So the bash button plugs in, hey, I'm a keyboard, starts typing, cool. But if the machine is like 10 years old and running Bonsai Buddy, then it may not keep up. And the dialogue is like and there's always that game of like, okay, well, I need to put in some conservative delays here to give the operating system a chance to keep up with me, the bash bunny, that's like thinking at whatever 1 point something gigahertz, and kind of balancing the need for speed, because you want your payload to execute pretty quickly. The most ideal ones are like, hey, you got 30 seconds with a target, have your way, right? And this is a perfect example of that. It doesn't take any more than that. In fact, actually, once the machine locks, you're good to go. You can just unplug, right? Because now the rest of it is already planted. So it's up to, then you can walk away, and then the user logs in. It logs them out again. They log in again, going, "What the hell was that?" And but you're out of the building. You're gone.
Long gone. Yeah. That was one of the struggles that created basically that eject script, because arbitrarily waiting like 10 seconds, maybe that's enough, but maybe it isn't. So maybe I should wait 20. While for a fast PC, maybe 2 seconds is already enough, right? So that's why also that whole eject script came, because it worked on my machine, but then it didn't work in the VM, which was slower. So yeah,
I do think that there's a lot to be said about using stages, and you very well use stages, and then having the only actual keystroke injection be just the one-liner into the run dialog. You get 280 characters, which doesn't sound like a lot, but especially with PowerShell aliases, which are amazing. There's so many of them. You can actually fit a fair bit into that. So yeah, it's definitely a lot of finesse there. I'm curious. In developing the payload, did you use bare metal or did you use a VM?
First bare metal, then I locked myself and got into a lock loop, basically. So I would type my password, it would unlock, the script would run, it would say, "Oh, I'm gonna lock again," and then I would run with the correct rights, but it never did. So it just kept locking and locking and locking.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, and after that, I switched to a VM pretty quickly.
Oh, I mean, what a VMs are wonderful for testing payloads because you can create a snapshot of a clean state, try the payload. Oh, we just like barfed all over the registry. Oops, let's just restore state, plug it in again. They're not as great when it comes to the fact that you've got USB pass-through, right? And that's the only part that I'm not as much of a big fan of.
Yeah, it feels like a race against the clock every single time you want to try it.
Yeah, and there's no guarantee too, especially with like all of the vid and PID cloning and all of that stuff. The best, in the pen test with Hak5 class we used to teach, the one thing that I would do, and I forget which hypervisor this was on, but I think it was the Citrix one. But the one thing that I would do is I would I would pass through a USB 2 hub, and then every child of that hub would then get passed through. So I only had to do USB pass through once, and then anything plugged into that would be good to go. Also, just because I feel like trolling now after talking about that, I feel like what we should do is LED setup, and then LED attack mode, PID, and LED attack, and then GUI L. Actually, we should do while true, do quack GUI L, sleep 1 done. That's the best payload. I think we're done. Yeah.
Especially if there's like a USB entrance behind somebody's screen where you can just kind of hide it.
Yeah, actually, that would be a great way I've seen a couple of payloads that do a long process. And so to keep the user occupied, I forget the name of the website, but there's it's like a Windows Update kind of looking website.
I've done that, yeah.
Oh, that's smart, yeah.
Yeah, and then, you hit I forget what it is, F11 or something to full screen the browser window. And it looks legit, That also relies on the machine having internet access, which is always another, and of course you can get around that by spinning up a local web server and hosting those assets. But I love the idea of, I'm doing a bunch of stuff and I don't want you to see, so I'm just gonna spam Windows key L. Or spam Windows key L and then just keep hitting backspace on a loop. So as they try to type their password, it's like, nah.
That would be horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. The two things that I think of, my brain first goes to with keystroke injection is one, systems administration, because I fixed way too many printers as a sysadmin, and two, trolling, because I hated my users.
Yeah. Yeah, your story about the loop getting stuck on that lock screen reminds me. I was trying to develop this malicious code where, you've seen the stereotypical malware with all the pop-up windows and stuff. I wanted to do something like that. Yeah. So I had the malware save itself in the startup directory and then just pop up a bunch of windows. But I wasn't thinking straight. So I did this on my bare metal computer. Oh, no. So when I turned my computer on, it just spam pop-up windows everywhere, a bunch of random websites. And I was like, oh wait, I can't use my computer. So I tried to turn it off and turn it back on, and you see what happens. And it just kept going. So I had to boot into Linux and try to get my way to the hard drive and delete all my code stuff. Yeah.
I love that that's still a thing.
the
That
way
they're
that
just quite simply the startup folder, you know?
Yeah.
And it's for a reason. It's like, Windows was very naive and coming from an era where there was a lot of trust, and because it has to be backwards compatible with software that was written like decades ago, that are expecting there to be, what is it, C:/ Windows / startup or something. That's not the directory, but you get what I'm saying. Like there's, certain expectations there. It's kind of crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, the way that I finally managed to get out of that loop was, thankfully there was a administrative PowerShell window open in the foreground when that happened. And whenever I logged on, I had the ability to type one single character before it would lock again.
No way!
So I uploaded the correct PowerShell that removed the
one character at a
right
time.
thing. And then I would do IEX, IWR, and then the PowerShell URL or
Oh my
the
God.
basebin.
Wow.
Logged out of your own machine, and then you get your privs back one character at a time. That is, oh. Dude, when I was 11, my mom, I was grounded for something. It was something phone freaking related, but I was grounded. And she took the keyboard to the family 486. And I was supposed to be the phone freak that was going to set up the telecom for that weekend, where you would beige box and you would call AT&T and you would set up an 800 number with 20 nodes and a passcode that like then you would give to like 2 people on IRC, and then you'd have 20 people show up. You'd say like, here's the passcode, don't give it to anybody. You give it to 2 people, you'd have 20 in 5 minutes. It's great. But yeah, and it is like way pre-Skype, pre-VoIP. Crazy to think that we were like, defrauding the phone company tens of thousands of dollars so that we could like chat, so we could literally just have voice communicate, But thank God the statutes of limitations are way past, and I was also a minor. But in any event, I didn't have my keyboard, and I needed to let my buddies on IRC know that I wasn't going to be able to be the one to commit the fraud this weekend. So somebody else needed to go out and beige box the pool house or whatever they did. Well, yeah, so with only a mouse, obviously this is like Windows 95 era. So, oh no, login prompt, click cancel. Cool, I'm logged in. What was that even? And then, firing up MIRC, easy enough with just a mouse from start. But then how do you type? So open up Windows Help. Find the character that I want, select it, right click, copy, go to IRC, right click, paste.
Oh no.
It took so long to write out that I was grounded. Good stuff.
Wow.
Oh man. Yellow Capped Ghost wants to know, and didn't specify who, but any future projects.
Well, for me, nothing yet until I get my pineapple, and then I'll see what I can do.
Nice. Well, I'm excited to see what you do with the Wi-Fi pineapple. Definitely, Bugbot, let us know. I know Mark, aka Foxtrot, in our Discord is publishing a bunch of new developer docs on our brand new documentation site, actually. So that's so for sure hit us up, because we'd love to support your efforts in that regard. And I need to figure out how to, there we go. Nope. And let me see if I can actually get this. Where do I have it open? I want to show you the thing that I'm working on. There we go. Yep. I can share my screen, and this is one of the things that I'm working on. Hang on, let me do that. So we do a lot of documentation at Hak5. It all lives at docs.hak5.org. This is a new piece of documentation in the works for the Keystroke, actually. I just used the Keystroke as the first example one, but importing all of our documentation over to Gitbook. Have you guys used Gitbook?
No.
No.
Yeah, it's actually pretty decent, I gotta say. It's so currently we're using what is it? We're using Zendesk for our documentation, and it's terrible, but it's free. This is like $300 a month, which is ridiculous, but it's gorgeous, and we can create PDFs out of this. And it's actually, we'll probably not go with that. We'll probably go with like the $15 a month plan. Who am I kidding? But in any event, this is like way, way, way prettier documentation. So that's kind of what I'm excited for, which is, I know probably like documentation is never sexy, but when you can make it not horrific, then people can know how to use your stuff better, and then we're all better hackers for it. So that's what I'm working on, documentation.
Documentation. For my future projects, for Hak5 specific, I've been developing this like keylogger for the USB rubber ducky, and it's going to save the keylogger through PowerShell on the startup directory, and then it's just going to run each time you turn on the computer and log the keystrokes, which is pretty cool. But I'm not done yet. But
nice.
I will send that out once that's finished. And
I'm curious about the listener. Is it live?
No, it's going to do it through email. So once it starts up, it emails you the current files and all the, I guess, saved keystrokes.
And then every time it starts up, it sends.
Starts up. It's just going to send you an email and then start the keystroke logging and then do the whole thing. So it's pretty cool. It works through PowerShell. But aside from that, I'm doing the Codex project as well, which is the cryptography thing I was talking about earlier, and try and make some courses as well. So yeah.
Awesome.
Nice. Yellow Capped Ghost also wants to know what kind of odd technology we would love to hack, like Japanese bidet. What odd technology? I want to hack my key cards to get into this building because this morning I locked myself out. And that's mainly because I forgot my key when I moved into the van and didn't expect to suddenly be in an apartment in Austin. But yeah, so I think that's probably RFID and it's probably not secured. And if that's the case, then I'm just going to grab my key and I've gotten a new one on order from Hak5, funnily enough. And yeah, I think that it's pretty cool that I don't know if a lot of people know. I actually should get Elliot on here to talk about this again. The developer. Have you guys played with the Keystroke?
No.
So it's an RFID cloning tool. We've got it on the Hak5 shop. It's a very simple turnkey thing. Like, but what I love about it is he put the Konami code in the device, and if you do the Konami code, you can unlock like a high power transmission. So I love the idea that I wouldn't necessarily even need to have to put the fob like within a centimeter from the reader to be able to get it to open the door. Yeah. Wow. So that's just on my mind because I literally just locked myself out. And you know what? I like went up to just a random person near the building, like asking like, hey, do you live here? Can you fob me in? You know? And I'm like so expecting that. And they were like, no, can't do it. And I was just like, you know what? Good on you. I really appreciate you taking physical security seriously. I did lock myself out.
And then they did it anyway?
No, dude wouldn't let me in. It was great. He was like, yeah, you can go to the keypad and like try calling yourself. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not registered in this system. Yeah, all right. That's also a pro tip. If you're signing a lease, don't use a real phone number. Use a Google Voice temporarily or something that'll reroute to your phone, because as soon as you do, and they do those credit checks and they like, I don't know what it is, but you just get all the spam calls for the very next week. Yeah.
Good to know. You bet.
Yep. And for legal reasons, that is a joke. Oh, man. Well, you know what? Cosmo, where can people find all the awesome stuff that you are doing on the web these days?
Definitely my YouTube channel will probably be the number one. You can see my content there. And I have a lot of updates on the Discord. So it's usually linked in my description of my videos. And then the website, of course. But the website, you can get more like things like articles or courses and things like that. But if you want to keep up, GitHub as well. GitHub, YouTube, and Discord are probably the top three.
Yeah, definitely. If you guys haven't subscribed to Cosmodium CS on YouTube yet, you definitely need to. I want to see 1,000 subscribers by the end of the week. Post show. Such great stuff. I love the ones that you did with the Bash money too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I actually wanted to talk to you about the geofencing one too, because there's some other techniques there. I think the biggest thing is, and I speaking of documentation, I need to really well document that it's BTLE, and so if it's not a low energy thing, it's so with your stuff that was taken a while, some low energy ones, you'd find it way faster.
Got it.
So, yeah, but guys, go over to Cosmodium CS on YouTube, give a sub, check out a lot of great stuff there. And dude, appreciate you coming on. I would love to have you on again.
Yeah. Well, Cosmo, Darren, it was great standing amongst giants. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, dude, stay in touch. I hope to see you on the Discord and the chat and all the other stuff soon. And keep an eye out for some new developer documentation as well for the. Have you done any? What is it? Angular at all?
No.
See, the Wi-Fi Pineapple is actually a great hacking opportunity to learn a little web dev as well. So, or hit tilde, log into the UI, hit tilde, get yourself a shell. Your happy place. Would you say you're more happy in PowerShell or Bash?
I think PowerShell, because I've been using it for the last week nonstop. But
yeah,
other than that, Bash. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say, I hated PowerShell at first, and then like I started to develop with it, and I was like, oh my god, I love this. Everything is object oriented, and I can pass this to that, and it just knows what it is. And I hate saying it because I love the simplicity of Bash, where I can like set and awk and just like nastily, find my way to, like I can, like using cut. Like it's so nasty, and there's so many places where it can fail.
But it works.
And then you use, and it works. It's great. And the internet built on it, but then you use PowerShell and you're like, ooh, this is actually not bad. So I'm a believer. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining me. I will be back on Monday. We got a fantastic show coming up. We're going to be talking to some more of our Hak5 friends and fans. And I think that we've got actually, who's going to be on is Russ from formerly of the Wireless Village. Don't look behind you on Twitter. And he's actually done some hardware mods for the Wi-Fi Pineapple, which I'm excited to take a look at. Yeah. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for joining us on the stream. The thing that you're supposed to say at the end, you know what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go and subscribe to Cosmodium CS. All right, bye, dude. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. See you later.
Later.